ברוך אתה אדוני מלך שהכל בורא. חי לחיים לברכה. Ah, goes down just like water. I think it is. Good thing. Okay. All right. Better. Death and taxes, is that forever? Is evil here forever? When you look out in the world, it seems like it's here forever. Not only is it here forever, it seems to be getting stronger. Is that the case? Really? Evil is getting stronger today than ever before? Will we do away with it? All good people would like to do away with it, but it always seems to rear its ugly head. Furthermore, mass materialism. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You have today people who are what we call minimalists. What's a minimalist? Living life on a minimal basis of materialism, not allowing materialism to overtake us. Is that a good thing? Are the two things connected? That the world seems to, on the one hand, we're progressing in technology, in the field of medicine. Almost all fields were progressing. But it seems like the evil of the world is also progressing. So are we progressing or digressing? And the fact that we have so much more today in materialistic things, is that a good or a negative thing? 200 years ago, you probably owned 200 things, something like that, if I recall. Today, we own 20,000 different things. I think it was 200, if I recall. All right. You only had one pen. Today we have, any household has, dozens and dozens of pens. I know I do. Right. You had your weekday clothes and then you had your Shabbos clothes. Did you have more than that? If you, most people didn't. Maybe they had one more pair or something. So today we have so much more. So let's understand all of that. Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege, a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We're in chapter 37 in Tanya. We're speaking that it's all up to us to create a world of good, to change the world forever, to bring about redemption, to bring about the messianic redemption, Mashiach now. And how do we do that? For every mitzvah that we do, the mitzvah object is holy. We become holy and imbued. The holiness is because we create a light that encompasses us, a light overhead that encompasses us in the act of the mitzvah that we do, whether the mitzvah is being giving charity, putting on tefillin, lighting Shabbos candles, whatever the physical act would be. engages and brings down the light of God in a way that is encompassing us. Not only that, but the food and drink that we engage, that we use, the drink that we need so we could learn better, l'chaim. The food that we need, right? So in that moment that we're doing that, the food and drink that could be eaten gluttonous in a gluttonous manner, could be unhealthy, could be, eating with your eyes, not eating with what you need to give you and sustain you, to give you strength that you could serve God and do good. So in that moment, that food and drink that becomes your flesh and blood and sustains you is elevated and is absorbed into holiness, into the light of God. So how do we do that in a way that it lasts not just in the moment, but forever and change the world for good? Well, that will be when the totality of the vital soul will become what we call a holy chariot to God. Right? Meaning, if we use our material world around us for a higher purpose, not for our seeking our pleasure, our comfort, but for this higher purpose of connecting it to God. So when we do that, then since we're taking the material world and we're elevating it, and that material world we're elevating is what God is animating it as klipas noiga, a shell that covers over on the holiness of God. And we crack open that shell and reveal the spark of the divine that's there and elevate it because we used food and drink for this higher purpose. So then what happens is, when I do this, you do it, and we all do it collectively, each and every single one of us becomes what we call a chariot to God, that we reveal God. Ultimately, it will bring to a time, well, all flesh will perceive, all of us together, the glory of God that fills the entire world. We'll see it eye to eye. The human eye will see the truth of godliness. Just as we saw it by the giving of the Torah. God wasn't distant. I hear a distant truth, right? No, God was very present, very real. Just like, I see that I'm holding this cup in my hand. It's real. The world of good that we're creating, that will be in times of Mashiach, will be that the eye will behold God's presence in realness and goodness, eye to eye. Now, it won't be because we physically see God as I physically see the cup that I held in my hand, right? But yes, we will. And this is what it says in the Torah. Atahare saladas. You have showed yourself, God, so that it be known that Hashem hu Elohim, that God, the four-letter name of God, is the name Elohim, meaning the limitless power of God, which is Shem Havaya, right? The tetragrammaton, past, present, and future in one name, that's beyond nature, infinite, is that limitless name of God, is also Elohim, the limitation, self-limitation of God. So beyond And that which is the eminence within the world, the limitations of the world, is Einoid Milvado, is nothing else but him. Now, at Sinai, we had that reality that there was nothing else but God, that God was the only reality, right? I'm not even a thing. This world's not a thing because there's no thing. There's just but God. That's what the experience was at Mount Sinai. But it didn't last at Mount Sinai. Why? Because we didn't use the material world till that point to use it in a manner towards God. In other words, it was God himself from on high that reveals himself, and we were just a recipient of that great revelation. Now, throughout the time of exile, it's pending on us through our divine engagement, through our actions, that we're going to do it, folks. We're going to fulfill the ultimate purpose of creation, is the Messianic era, where the revelation of God will be in such a manner that the impure spirits of the world will be removed. How? Because let's understand, there's, as we've explained many times, and it needs to be repeated because it's fundamental, there are not two vying um, sources within the world, right? There's, because we see a duality, up, down, right, left, light, dark, good and bad. So there must be a good source of, and a negative source, the God, Godhood and Satan. And there's a power struggle. No, it's all coming from God. So the negativity is coming from God, but it's three layers. God's internal will, which is his holiness, which is what he really wants, which is the mitzvah, which is an expression of him. It gives rise to an external will, just like by us. What you really want is to take care of your family. That compels you to take the bus to go to work. You got to get on time, be on time, and to do the work, or to get a paycheck. All those things are external, compelled by the internal will that you want to take care of your family. That's really what you want. So really what God wants is the mitzvah for us to do and to be connected to him through the mitzvah. So he creates a physical world. So this is a material world. It compels to create. That material world is not really what he wants. So therefore that's called klipa, because it's not really what you want. So it's a shell that's covering over. And the true intent is not there. It's inside, there's a ray of it inside, but it's covered over. Just like when you go to work, it's covered over. I'm really at work. I don't take care of my family, right? You don't even have to say it. And you're not, doesn't mean you're not devoted to your work. You need to be devoted to your work, obviously. So, and then that gives vitality. That gives vitality to all of the evil of the world, which is completely removed from God. Sholosh klipas atmeis, right? Now, since those two lesser levels of klipa, the klipa that has a shell that has some good in it, and then the shell that completely covers over the divine, right, that has no good in it, right? The thing is negative completely, like a Jew eating not kosher. That act of eating is completely negative. right? Shalosh klipas atmeas, or like a person raising their hand to hit somebody, right? Inappropriately. The vital force to do that is completely from negative. Where is it coming from, that vital force? From klipa, a mixture of klipa, of good and evil, that now has been reduced into a negative, because just picking up your hand, you could do good or bad. So but what happens if I engage myself in positive commandments in a way that includes all of the food and drink and all of the things that I need to do a mitzvah? Let's take an example of a mitzvah. The Alter Rebbe doesn't bring it over here, but I'm going to give the example. Let's say, to act of loving kindness, to go to the hospital. I just started this. A friend of mine going to the hospital to visit the sick, not necessarily, people I know, new people perhaps, right? It's a mitzvah. So the food that I eat and drink, gives me vitality to do it. That's also absorbed in the light of God. The car that I use to pick up my friend and then go to the hospital is also, there's a, right, that car becomes a mitzvah car. So in the act of going to the hospital, it's also absorbed in the divine light. A car that could be used for personal things have nothing to do with God. Or even using a car in a bad way, right? Yeah. As Bonnie and Clyde is used as their getaway, right? I don't know why I thought of that. Don't ask me. Right? And what do? You're using it for the mitzvah. So what you're doing is now not allowing the vitality of that vehicle, that food, to give any vitality to complete negativity. You've raised it up to something holy. Likewise, if you observe the 365 prohibitions, you're not giving room for any energy to a negative place. So let's take a thought, speech, and action, a negative thought that you push away, so you're not giving any vitality to complete evil place. Or you bite your tongue and don't say something nasty in your speech. So now you're not giving vitality, life to klipa. And your actions likewise that you do, right? So when we do that, when the community of Israel, comprising 600,000 general souls, and then all the 600,000 of those particular souls will do their part of elevating their vital soul, their animal soul, and everything that your body and animal / vital soul need for its, shall we say, survival, right? What happens then? You elevate all those sparks, right? Mm-hmm. What are you doing then? What you've done is wiped away vital force to complete negativity. It has nowhere to nurture itself. And as a result, evil will be removed from this world. That's how it's going to happen. By each and every one of us using our things in our world to make it into no thing. As the Alter Rebbe said, God, he took nothing and he made a world. We take that world, that thing, that something, and we make it back to no thing, because we connect it back to its source, to God. And when we do that, each and every one of us, And then collectively, you know what's going to happen? We're changing the world. Now, when you're going to watch the evening news, you're not going to hear about this probably, because this is a spiritual idea that is not necessarily something that is so obvious, you know, that this is happening. I want to give you an example of where this is happening in a greater way today than ever before. Right now, what we're doing. When was there in a time before that you can connect with so many people across the universe, across the entire globe at the same time, and and see each other, be inspired from each other? I'm inspired by you. You're inspired by me, perhaps. Um, we're inspired by each other in a unique way that's never been before. So we have a lot more materialism now. That could be a real negative thing because we could get lost in the materialism and get lost in klipa. When we recognize, no, 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 no. The reason for that materialism and the proliferation of materialism is that I just should use it and elevate it from klipas noiga, from this middle ground of a shell that covers over on the divine, and use it for a mitzvah, right? Make your car into a mitzvah, like go visiting the sick. Make your phone into a mitzvah, that you call someone who needs some help and you help and guide them. By doing that, we elevate it and don't allow negativity to be nurtured from it, which is very important because if we don't actively do it, we'll create a vacuum, and that vacuum will definitely, negativity will enter. Definitely will enter. So we need to be actively engaged in this. Very beautiful and powerful. Any questions, any comments? I don't think I see a question. Let's say hi to Liba, Davida in New York, Michael, Germany, Diane in Arizona, Ken in Colorado, Joe in Washington State, that is, Joseph in New Jersey, sunny but cool. Frank is in, I don't remember, you have to remind me, Frank. Simcha, she's in Florida. Julia, she's in Pennsylvania. Peter, where are you, Peter? Amy in Colorado. David Yaakov is in Sacramento, California. Virgil is in, not certain. Sophia Sarah. Carmen in Texas. Sandy in Michigan. Stuart, where are you? Yana's in Mexico. Sophia Sarah is in New Hampshire. I had a reception today. Ay. Elise, feed is freezing. Is that just on which Facebook? Is that on YouTube? Is that everywhere? Let me know. Elise in Virginia. Vicky in Eureka, California. Are things better now? I hope. You have to sometimes, if it's frozen, go out and then come back. Laura in Fort Lauderdale. Welcome. Darren in the Philippines. Frank is in Syria. Ooh, good luck over there. Yafa, Yehuda. Joyce is in, not certain. Colorado Springs is Yehuda. All right, beautiful. All right, folks. I do Rambam. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zech and Kadesh, Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure